Alright, let's talk about applications of linear equations. And that means we're going to be doing word problems. And here are the steps we're going to use. First thing you want to do is identify the question. What the heck are you being asked to find? Second, make notes of all the information that you're given in the problem. Then, this is the hardest part, set up an equation that describes the problem, solve the equation, and then check your answer to make sure it makes sense. So let's apply this to an example. Alright, during a camping trip in North Bay, Ontario, a couple went 1/3 of the way by boat, 10 miles by foot, and 1/6 of the way by horse. How long was the trip? So the question is, how many miles was the trip? We're looking for a distance, okay? So what do we know? We know that by boat, it was 1/3 of the total distance. We know that they went on foot 10 miles. And we know that on horseback, they went 1/6 of the total. So let's set up an equation. Well, let's let x equal the total distance. That means 1/3 of x is how far they went by boat, plus 10 miles by foot, plus 1/6 of x will equal the total distance. So there's our equation. Now it's time to solve it. Okay, if I multiply everything through by the lowest common denominator, which in this case is 6, I'm going to get 6 times 1/3 of x is 2x. 6 times 10 is 60. 6 times 1/6 x is 1x. And 6 times x is 6x. Getting everything over on one side, I'm going to subtract 3x, and I get 3x equals 60. So x is 20. So the whole trip was 20 miles in length. And if we check our answer, is 20/3, that's 1/3 of x, plus 10 plus 26 equal to 20. And if we multiply through by 6, we're going to get 40 plus 60 plus 20 equals 120, and that does check. Okay, how about this example? Find 3 consecutive integers, even integers, such that the sum of the 3 integers is 2 more than twice the third. So I'm going to let x be my first number, and to get to the next even number, I'm going to have to add 2 to that. So that's going to be my second number, and then I'm going to have to add 2 more, so it's going to be x plus 4 to get my third number. Okay, so the sum of the 3 integers, that means add them all up, x plus 2 plus x plus 4. That's first plus second plus third equals 2 more than 2 plus twice the third, 2 times the third number. That's our equation. Let's go ahead and solve it. So I've got 3x plus 6 on this side. I've got 2 plus 2x plus 8 on this side. And if I subtract 2x from both sides, I get x plus 6 equals 10. So x equals 4. That means my first number is 4, my second number is 6, and my third number is 8. If I add all those up, is it 2 more than twice 8? Well, let's see. 4 plus 6 plus 8 is 18, and that is 2 more than twice the third number. And before I do another example, let's look at some useful formulas from geometry. A rectangle, well, the perimeter is all the sides added together, so it's going to be twice the length plus twice the width, and the area is the length times the width. With a circle, it's 2 pi times the radius is your circumference, how far around it is, and your area is pi times the radius squared. With a triangle, if I've got 3 sides, A, B, and C, the perimeter is their sum, and the area is 1/2 the length of the base times the height. That's that perpendicular distance to the base. So these are all really useful formulas to keep in mind when you're doing word problems. And in this example, we use some geometry. It says a rectangle 3 inches wide. So I'm going to say that this rectangle is 3 inches wide. It has the same area as a square with 9-inch sides. Okay, so I don't know the length. We can call it x. Well, the area of a rectangle is 3 times x, length times width. And that's going to be the same as the area of the square, which is 9 times 9, which is 81. So x is 27. So our dimensions are 27 inches by 3 inches. Another type of problem that uses linear equations are simple interest problems. I equals PRT, where I is the interest rate, P is the principal, the amount of money you're investing in. I is the total interest that the account gives you. P is the principal, the amount you're investing. R is the interest rate, and T is the time that you leave it in that account. So let's say you win $24,000, lucky you. You decide to invest your prize in 2 different accounts, one paying 18% and the other paying 12%. 1 year later, so T equals 1, you have $27,480 total. How much did you originally invest in each account? Well, remember we're dealing with interest, okay? So the interest that we've earned is $27,480 minus our principal. And that's going to be $3,480. So here we go. Interest, $3,480 is equal to principal times rate times time. And remember, our time is 1. Okay, so what's the principal? Well, we have 2 different accounts, one at 18% and one at 12%. Let's let X equal the amount at 18%. And since I had $24,000 to play with, and I've used up X in this account, that means I have 24,000 minus X to invest at 12%. Okay, so here we go. 0.18 times X, that's this interest rate and that principal, plus 0.12 times 24,000 minus X. Okay, so I've got 3,480 equals 0.18x plus, and let's get our calculator up here. There we go. 0.12 times 24,000 is 2,880 minus 0.12x. And I'm going to go 3,480 minus that answer, and I get 600 equals 0.18 minus 0.12x, which is 0.06x. And we'll go ahead and divide that by 0.06, and we're going to get, surprise, surprise, 10,000. What is that? That's the amount that we invested at 18%, which leaves us with 14,000 at 12%. And the last example I'm going to do is a distance equals rate times time problem. And a Cessna 150 is an airplane, and it averages 150 miles per hour in still air with a tailwind. That means with the wind pushing it, it's able to make a trip in 2 1/3 hours. Then when it goes on the return trip, it's going against the wind, so it takes 3.5 hours. What's the average wind speed? So we're going to let W equal wind speed. Okay, now the distance going out is the same as the distance coming back. So the rate with the wind is going to equal times time, is going to equal the rate going against the wind times time, because it's the same distance, okay? And the rate of the Cessna is 150 miles per hour. And so here we go. Let's set it up. 150 plus W. Going with the wind, we get it done in 2 1/3 hours. So that is 7/3. Then we're going against the wind, so I have to subtract the wind, and that takes us 3 1/2 hours. That's 7/2. Okay, and when we distribute, we're going to get, let's see, 3 goes into 150 50 times 7 is 350 plus 7/3 W. 2 goes into 150 75 times, and 75 times 7 is 525. Okay, get all the W's on one side, so I'm going to add 7/2 W to both sides. Equals 525 minus 350, which is equal to 175. Okay, so getting a common denominator and adding my W's together, I'm going to get 35/6 W equals 175. And from that, 175 times 6 over 35 will give us W, which works out to 30 miles per hour. That's how fast the wind is blowing in this problem. So these are just a few examples. Every word problem is different, but if you use the same process, figure out what they're asking, take notes on what you're given, set up the equation, solve it, you should be able to do these.